doesn't have to be 8 by 10 by any means. Maybe it's a little 3 by 5, and you put that on there. And it's just so important because when the sponsor gets that at the tire dealership or at the fast food restaurant or, any place else that you've gone to and asked for sponsorship, what you are doing is you are pushing the product and pulling in the customer.
Well, and they know when they see that race car number or whatever it is on there, they know where that's coming from and that it's working.
Exactly. And I'll tell you something else that you can do. If you think that you're nervous about how that's going to work, you ask them for their name and their phone number, and then you call the tire dealer that's your sponsor, and you say, hey, this is a list of the guys that came by and saw me this weekend. I've given them my coupon. I have my stamp on the back of it, or I have my name on the back of it, or this is the list I'd like you to call because these guys have all said they're going to need tires in the next 6 months.
Right. Yeah.
So what you've done is you've done his marketing on his product, and you've given it to your friends. And now he is the salesman. He will pull them back into his store.
Perfect.
So push it out there, pull it back in.
Full circle.
Absolutely. So, Pattie, let me ask you, in your experience in marketing and motorsports, is there a different approach to take when you're approaching on the local versus regional or national brands? Is there a different approach to take as you move up through the ranks?
Yes, there is, and it's not that complicated. It's basically the same program, but where the complication comes in, and I say this, the complication is I would rather have 5 sponsors at $5,000 each. They are easier to maintain. They are easier to have communication with because once you go to the national level or you go, say like Lowe's, if you were to approach Lowe's, the first thing that's going to happen is the store manager is going to say, great, here's the marketing guy's business card. Now, you can only call that business card on the phone and talk to them and hope that they're willing to go with you a little further. And by that I mean the marketing manager at Lowe's gives you the guy's business card. It could be an advertising agency. And if you do get to the advertising agency, remember, they're just like anybody else. They have a budget. So budgets are usually forecast in the month of June and July, and they are finalized by September for the following year. That's what makes major sponsorship so terribly hard. The guys that are out there in NASCAR right now today, they are usually locked in for a year or perhaps to review it at the end of the year and extend it. Or they've been in a 3-year relationship or, it's crazy. And every single person that you see at NASCAR has a rep for every decal on that car. It's gotten insane. It really has. Now you've got the racer saying, wow, I won today's race at Martinsville. And then at that point, here comes his sponsors. And there might be 5 guys standing in front of you, and they're saying, okay, we need you in this hospitality tent between such and such and such and such time on today's race. Well, wait a minute, I got to go and I got to qualify for tomorrow. I just won the pole, but I got to run the race tomorrow. How am I going to have time? Hey, guess what? It's the price you pay for the sponsorship. They tell you what you're going to do, how high you're going to jump, and when it's going to happen. So please, please, please think about outside the box. Go to Certainteed. Certainteed, of course, makes insulation. Think of the pink pants. That's insulation. Go to building materials. And hey, you guys in the Northwest, how many people have contacted any of the foresters? And I'm talking about Weyerhaeuser and some of those other people up there that, cut down the trees, make the boxes, build the plywood. There's all kinds of sponsors out there. And if you really want to get kind of crazy, find yourself a walnut tree. I mean, right now, walnut in Kansas and Missouri is the number one product because all of the cars that are being made in the United States right now, like Toyota, like Lexus, like Nissan, they all have walnut dashes. They all have walnut interior. So you've got to think ahead. You've got to look out there and say, I'm not going to go over to AutoZone today and ask for sponsorship. And I'm not going to go to O'Reilly's because everybody goes to O'Reilly's. I'm going to step out of the box and go to maybe the windshield wiper people or the floor mat company.
Do something different than what everybody else is. Because you're all fighting for the same thing as what you're saying, right?
Exactly. You're all fighting for the same thing, and for the little guy, and I don't mean that derogatory because I'm only 4'11", but I cannot think that I've been out here for one season. Man, I've kicked ass. I've won trophy dashes. I've won a main event. I've won a couple of heat races. I think I'm a hot dog. I'm going to go out there. Oh, my dad just bought me a brand new trailer. His company name is on that trailer. His company name is on my race car. His company name is on my jersey. Corey, this kid doesn't need any sponsors.
Right.
You're not going to get any sponsors with your daddy's company all over
I love it.
Right. Absolutely. Patty, we got one of our listeners, Dave Miller. He sends one in. It says, ask her what to ask for. Is it better to ask a sponsor for a tire, a set, a season's worth? Is it better to ask for money or product?
Well, depends on what the product is that you're going for. So let's talk about it. Is he talking about he needs a set of tires to race on? Okay, let me just tell you from my experience of 25 years at Hoosier Tire Corporation that you cannot go to a tire dealer and say, hey, I need a set of tires, would you sponsor me? Because he's working on about 22 to 25% profit. That's it. Okay? So tires are out. Don't go that route because that guy doesn't make any money. And if it's a track tire, trust me, boys, he doesn't make any money on a track tire. And in fact, he has to pay, if he is the local track dealer, he has to pay part of that money that goes in the point fund. And so there's just no money in tires. Now, if he is looking for oil, gasoline, ethanol, alcohol, whatever, there are certain deals with certain companies. And if you look at Summit or JAGS, they offer different programs. I think Summit calls it Summit Bucks. When you start buying product, you gain bucks, and that gives you a buying power. I don't know what JAGS calls it, except that it's usually a little bit more in tune to what drag racing and high performance cars, where Lane Automotive or I'm trying to think of some of the other, distributors that are out there.
Speedway.
But if you go to them and you say, hey, I just bought a brand new helmet from you, a brand new uniform, brand new gloves, brand new shoes, can you give me any kind of a discount if I put your name on my clothing, if I put your name on my race car? And that's worth about 25 to 50% on a discount.
That's not bad when you consider over the course of a season, you get all your sponsors to do that, and that adds up pretty quick.
Right. So try to do the rule of thumb. If you can find five guys that can give you $5,000 each, you're going to be better off to deal with those five. Now, here's your homework, racer. If you've got 5 sponsors, and if they've given you this money, they are not going to want to pay you all at once. And that's fine. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky on your part. You have to develop a telephone calling program. In other words, you raced Friday night. Long about Monday, you pulled the motor out. You sent it off to be serviced. So about Wednesday, you're going to get that motor back, and you're going to put that thing back in the car. So that gives you Tuesday morning. And if you work, it might be Tuesday afternoon. But at Tuesday, you need to call your 5 sponsors and tell them, wow, everything was cool. I, qualified good, went into the heat race, ran second, how to run that semi, because now that's the latest thing. You run a semi. And I went to the main event, and I finished 8th. But I felt really confident. There were 22 guys in the race. There's 16 guys. And I know that I can do better next week. We didn't blow his dress up. We didn't tell him we're going to do this or we're going to do that. We simply stated the facts. And if you've got that kind of honesty with those 5 guys, trust me, they're going to thank you for it. You're going to be handing out their literature. You might even set up and we did this in boat racing. And Corey, you know that Jack was a top alcohol drag boat racer.
Very much so.
Okay, so what I did in the pit area was you could sell T-shirts around your pits. If you became a vendor, you had to pay a vendor's fee. So at the back of our truck, we had a sandwich board. And a sandwich board looked like a giant A, the letter A. And on both sides of that sandwich board, I had our sponsors. I had a little bit of information about Jack Frost and where he was from. So it was actually from Kansas City, Kansas back then. And all of the information of who our sponsors were. On the other side of that, I had a T-shirt under plexiglass, and I had 2 pockets, and you've seen this at all the drag races, where they have these little easels, and they have all these flyers stuffed in them. Well, that's exactly what any of your sponsors want, and if your sponsor wants to give away an item, you dress up a box and make it look like a present, put a giant slit in the top of it, and the person fills out a little card, gives them the name, the address, the email address, and they're going to get a prize when their name is drawn out of it. What have you got for your promoter? What have you got for your sponsor? You've got a mailing list. So that little package that you've got, with kids wrapping or whatever you want to put on it and dress it up fancy bow, and then a little 3x5 card that says name, address, phone number, email. Email is so important to these people. And, perhaps if it's a Ford dealership, you might list on there, do you own any Ford products? Are you interested in a new truck? And the guy circles it or check marks it. What you've done is you have introduced the dealer to a brand new customer, potential customer, and you've also told him what he's looking for. You've created a mailing list, and that mailing list is something that you're now going to keep, because you're going to contact that guy, and you're going to say, hey, Jim, I haven't seen you at the racetrack for a couple weeks. Sure hope you're okay. Hope you'll come out and watch us. We're going to be at whatever track. So it's communication, and if you don't have time to communicate with the people that bought a ticket to come and watch you race, you're never going to get a fan, you're never going to get a sponsor, and most likely you're going to be a real jerk.
Pattie, I wish you could see the faces on the gentlemen here in the studio, because we're all looking at each other like, that is so simple to do, such a great favor to do for your sponsors. You're showing them, this is what I can do for you. This is what I'm going to do for you. We're all looking at each other going, you know what? I don't know anybody in our area, in our entire region, that does that.
I'm going to go a step.
You got to do it. You have to do it, and it's got to be very, very small steps.
And Corey and
Small
Pattie, I'm going to
steps
go
so that you don't look like the hero in the pit.
Right.
Small steps so somebody doesn't come after your sponsors. Small steps in communication, and it's just like having a wife. If you can't come home and leave your job at work, then don't sit at the table.
Right.
If you're going to come home and have a nice dinner, at least tell me, hey, the food tasted good. The floor looks good. Wow, you washed the curtains. Hey, the dog's not barking and the kids aren't crying. Those are simple communications. But if you come in with the attitude of, God damn, I don't know how I'm going to get this car fixed this weekend. I don't have any money. You're going to have to write me a check. He's not going to want to give you any money.
You're absolutely 100% right. And Joel had a question for you here. He wanted to say something to you, Pattie.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, I think it was more of just that light